It is time to revisit my optimized Rogue build, the one that I advertised to you earlier, as an all-in, all-poison Flurry build with no ultimate. So, here is the thing, my friends. Once you have dinged level 50, which I have dinged a while ago, your first challenge is to proceed through world tiers. In order to proceed through world tiers, it is recommended, not recommended, you kind of don't have a choice, but to finish the Capstone dungeon, which is the Cathedral of Light on world tier 2. To keep things simple, I have been testing the builds and playing on world tier 1. So you change the tier to tier 2, you go to the Cathedral of Light and you try my build in that dungeon. So my old build, let's refer to it as old build, it was explained and linked in the previous video. I don't want to waste anyone's time, including my own, revisiting that build. A long story short, TLDR, too long didn't read, that build turned out to be a tiny bit on a squishy side, yeah, and it didn't work out that well. I died a few times in that dungeon at level 50, mind you. I wasn't out leveling, over leveling it. I didn't have too many Paragon points. Let's get that out of the way, which is why Paragon points and Paragon build is not a centerpiece of this particular build. I barely have a couple of points put into it. Yeah, I still play broad before I go deep. I had to change a few things. And in this video I'm going to tell you what exactly I have changed that made me relatively easily finish the dungeon. We're still staying with Puncture as the generator of combo points and generator of our main resource. We're still staying with fundamental Puncture, which throws 3 blades in a spread and makes enemies vulnerable. You will see me use this quite a lot, especially because my basic skill speed has increased massively. It's like a machine gun sometimes. It's actually okay. It works fine, even though it is pretty weak. It's at level 1 here. I still stay with Flurry, as you can see. From some gear, which is very basic at this stage, as you can see, nothing to write home about really. I have Flurry at 7 out of 5, which is awesome. I use it all the time. It is my self-healing skill, it is my killing skill, it is still fantastic. Yes, my friends, I heard you in the comments down below. I respect your opinion and I agree with you. Twisting blades scales better, twisting blades does more damage, twisting blades melts enemies faster, especially if you're working on a boss, on a single fat target. And occasionally in this dungeon, as you will see, I admit to the fact that I had to flurry, and it took a while to kill some thicker enemies, especially those teleporters, the ones that teleport all over the bloody place. But this build, the change in it, actually makes that element a little bit easier. Just bear with me, I will tell you everything. Now, we got to the first point of change. I have dropped dash, and I have taken Shadow Step, as one of you have recommended, or more than one of you. Thank you, by the way. Constructive feedback is always most welcome, especially if you can actually spell and make yourself clear, because some of you speak in some sort of cryptic speak that I don't understand. Maybe I'm too old for this stuff. Anyway, so Shadow Step, why is it better? Well, it's better because you become unstoppable, yeah, and because you also can stay on target much better. If you are dealing with teleporters, as there are plenty of those, unfortunately, in the stupid Cathedral of Light, I hate that dungeon, they teleport away from you and you have to chase them. Shadow Step allows you to essentially stay on target much faster than dash. In dash you have to be directional, you have to be very intentional. It's much harder to move around with dash. Mind you, what you're losing from this is general mobility, because dash can be used simply without a target. I was simply, as you saw in my previous videos, I was simply using it to move around the world or around the dungeon much faster. In this case I can't do that, unfortunately. I have taken Disciplined Shadow Step so that I reduce its cooldown a little bit by 3 seconds, and that's an eternity when you need to use it, in all honesty, if I have damaged the enemy that I have not hit with Shadow Step in the last 4 seconds, which is harder on bosses, obviously, as you can imagine, but cooldown is still longer than 4 seconds, so who cares. Anyway, so that's the first change. Did it add massively to survivability? I don't know, but it certainly added to DPS, to damage, because I stay on target better than I did with dash before. Yeah, so if you would like to try this change, it worked for me. Let me know if it works for you. Second change that I've made, or also from one of your recommendations, thank you very much once again, I dropped Dark Shroud. Dark Shroud, well, The best part of Dark Shroud is the fact that it speeds you up. I love that it speeds you up for movement. Damage reduction is nice, but you lose that Dark Shroud pretty fast because they hit you, enemies hit you pretty fast, and each time you take a direct hit, you lose a Shroud. So unless you have something, some legendary ability that is generating free Dark Shrouds, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me in the comments down below if I am, I think there is an ability that generates a free Dark Shroud, but you need to stay still for that, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, regardless, I dropped this, and instead I took Concealment. Concealment allows us to vanish. Concealment also makes us unstoppable, which is fantastic. Yeah, it grants movement speed, which is good as well. And I went with Subverting Health. So when we break Concealment, we make enemies vulnerable for 6 seconds. Likely I will break Concealment with Flurry, so it will hit everyone, all of them are vulnerable. I don't need to throw blades around to make them vulnerable. This is useful. Look, I found this pretty good, and I think that this ability to get out of jail, essentially become unstoppable, conceal from sight, it's an advanced form of stealth, as the description suggests to us. I think that made some difference. I would say probably in the tight spots in the dungeon it worked better for me than Dark Shroud was in the original version of the build, where I was dying. I was dying with it. Now, Poison Imbuement still the same. I maxed out Debilitating Toxins, Alchemical Advantage as per my original build. Nothing changed over here. Now we're proceeding here. We still don't have any ultimates here. I still don't use any ultimates because Blizzard did not give us people on PC enough buttons. You people on consoles, you probably have a bit of a better time here. And final change that I made that worked for me was that I used to have Exposure. Because it's a trap-based build, a lot of damage comes from traps. I had Exposure, for better or for worse. I changed it towards Momentum. Yeah? When I do my Shadow Step, I'm behind the target. Like there are some added also there are added dazing and stunning effects occasionally, unless I'm terribly mistaken, but I get that impression. Especially, for example, as an example, Poison Trap. My Poison Trap has a secondary ability to knock enemies down. So Poison Trap has a 30... sorry, that's not Poison Trap. Knocks down, yes. Enhanced Poison Trap. It knocks enemies down every time for 1.5 seconds. They are stunned in that moment in time. They're knocked down, yeah? So this is when Momentum activates. And what helps here, and why did I take this? Maybe there is another good reason to take it, but I took it only because I was lucky enough to get this helmet, Adventurous Helm of Stolen Vigor. Each stack of the Momentum Key passive heals you for 45 life per second. So that's, again, it's not like we're playing World of Warcraft where there would be handy add-ons here that would allow us to visually kind of track the amount of healing received and all of that kind of stuff to make it a little bit more, you know, trackable, all these things. But I just have to, I play very in a dumb way, you can say it, in a very let's explore the game, as opposed to try to pretend that this is some sort of a science or some sort of a job. I have fun in this game, and that's my pure exploration based findings that I'm sharing with you and welcoming your feedback as well. But this helm, I think, made a difference. I think it made a difference. While we're here, why don't we take a look at the rest of my gear then? Well, I'm using also this torso, which is not contributing to this concrete build, but at the moment I just, as you can see, it's glowing in my inventory. I just got a different torso. I might replace this with whatever I have found. If you take less damage from crowd-controlled enemies. Perfect, yes, thank you very much. In fact, if I had this and I look much better as well, let me know in the comments down below if you like how I look. I think this looks freaking amazing, by the way. So this would have given me even higher chance of success, and poison damage is increased. Yes, thank you. Now I'm using this increased ranks of Flurry and the agility skill, reducing the cooldown of subterfuge skills thing. Kinda meh, but that's what I use. I also have these pants, which when I damage elite enemy, it grants me a barrier for 10 seconds. Not too bad. I have these awesome boots that when I'm injured, which means that my life is below 35%, I am unstoppable for 4 seconds. Fantastic for survivability. I absolutely love this wonderful bow that gives me the poison pools. Poison pools, we spoke about them enough. Poison pools remove the cooldown from poison imbuement skills. It's just one of those actually very rare, fun skills in the game. I critiqued the game in the previous video where I think there is not enough fun. This is one of those examples where there is still a bit of fun. Now, what am I using here? I was using an amulet, and as you can see, it's not super optimized because I just ran this updated build without having Dark Shroud. And as I was talking just a few minutes ago, yes, I remembered this ability where you would be getting a free Dark Shroud every 3 seconds if you stood still. But you're a rogue. That's like never happens, is it? So I'm gonna replace this. I certainly have Mother's Embrace. I'm lucky enough. I don't know if it's a guaranteed drop from Lilith when you, spoiler alert, kill her at the end of the campaign. But yeah, I don't know. And it's awesome because it contributes to spamming of the Flurry. So if you don't have Mother's Embrace, somehow, let me know in the comments down below. I don't know if everyone gets it, if not everyone gets it. I have no idea. Never pretended to be an expert, but I have it and it's awesome. And then I obviously I have also another one. I have the gain 12 of your primary resource for every 25 of my life that I heal from any source of healing, I imagine, and I'm getting resource back. Awesome, we can spam Flurry. And then my sub-optimized, as you can see, not even leveled, not even upgraded items, because I was leveling to here, and I think that all the further optimization of this build, further optimization of this character is going to happen from this point onwards. That's all I have, my friends. A little bit rushed, a little bit ranty, but hopefully these little changes, maybe, just maybe, will give you something that's currently preventing you from finishing that Capstone dungeon solo, and at level 50 as well. I'm not quite sure, but surely you can probably out-level it if you actually were patient and you out-leveled it. But I didn't. I did it at 50, and this slightly updated build worked for me better. Thanks, and bye for now.
Can you feel it, Wanderer? Like surf along the coast, the tides of hell rise up